Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. So disclaimers. We're on our way home, and we are going to stop at Popeyes tonight. We are. So Mr. Z has slowed down a whole lot, but tonight we're going to make it a Popeyes night. Yes, we are. Right. So y'all gonna have the I really need that elevated music for my intermissions. I really do. I really need it for my pause and yeah. We excuse me. I gotta talk to some people about the boring elevator music, right? So yeah, we gotta do that. So first, shout out to Mr. Z. I was perfectly okay. What the hell? Okay, let's get back to it. We are going to be speaking on Army Ose Frimpong and his speak or his talk on yes, it is perfectly okay to stay in the relationship for the kids, right, Mr. Z? Really? And the title of his video, which by the way, the link is in the description. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Um, the link is in the description, and the title is yes, stay together for the kids, right? So I want to give the definition of a word that I will be using quite often tonight, and the word is mercenary, right? And y'all are gonna see why in a minute. So we're gonna use the we're gonna give the definition of the adjective of mercenary and the noun. The adjective is primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. Woo! Ladies, black women, but pretty much all women, definitely Western women and black women, right? And y'all give Mr. Z 1 second. And we're back, right? So, hired to serve in a foreign army. Ooh, I could tie black women, right? Man. So let's get to it. So I am, you already know, Mr. Z street shoestring budget, Velcro budget, right? Spit shine budget. So we are going to play two clips. Shout out to once again Army Ose Frimpong, the funky academic. And we are going to use these as springboards to have a conversation about whether our society is producing mercenaries, right? We're primarily concerned with black women because that's who most of us are going to end up with. But is Western society, is this particular neoliberal form of capitalism, which, by the way, according to The Economist and some of the thinkers and talkers and movers and shakers of the day, might be on its way out. But is this form of capitalism, neoliberal capitalism, Reaganomics, right? Is this form of capitalism taking hypergamy and, like y'all hear Mr. Z say all the time, breaking the knob, right? Turning hypergamy, ratcheting up hypergamy so much that it breaks the knob? Is this form of capitalism producing mercenaries, right? Is it causing people in general, namely women, in our case, black women, is it causing them to have a mercenary mindset when it comes to relationships, particularly relationships with black men, intimate relationships with black men, right? And I think it's about time to play the first clip. All right, here we go. Wait a minute. Okay, all right. Mr. Z did that wrong. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. Mr. Z, get your tech right, right? And here we go.
Like raise the everyday habits that are required for kids. Like when you're splitting 3 days one place and 3 days the other, you just have to understand that your kid's not gonna have a sense of duty because duty would tell your kids to stay together for the kids. That parents would stay together for the kids, but you're you're modeling the opposite of duty. And so you're going to either raise kids who are trigger shy because they understand that the world is full of mercenaries, or you're going to raise a whole mercenary. Now, I know, and I think this is kind of gendered. I'll be honest, I've seen, I think single parents raise mercenaries, especially single mothers raise whole mercenaries. And you don't have to, it's not a big surprise that M.K. Williams didn't grow up with a daddy. It's
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so if you model not having a sense of duty and not having a sense of purpose outside of your own immediate wants, your kid's going to be a whole mercenary. And they're going to have a hard time sustaining relationships. They're also not going to drive you to your doctor's appointments as you get older and all of these other things because you model to them that life is about yourself. And yourself is a narrow single self, not the self that includes the family, because you weren't willing to keep the family together for them, especially for like irreconcilable differences. For faults, I can say like if there's like real abuse, I could say that like maybe it's okay to separate. But for no fault, irreconcilable differences, you're just modeling to the kids that reason can't solve the problems, and duty doesn't matter, and stability doesn't matter, so they're gonna just send you off. and you can't be surprised. You did it. You modeled that. That's what adulthood is. It's casting off your family relationships, and they're not gonna be there for you. And you can't be surprised because you weren't there for them. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. So yes, stay together for the kids. Don't listen to people who say don't stay together for the kids. If you want your kids to not either be trigger shy, which means they don't want to participate in institutions full of mercenaries, or you don't want your kids to be whole mercenaries who just use people because they saw their parent use their other parent until it got inconvenient. Right?
Uh-oh. Black women. Wait a minute. Who's filing for divorce at 70 and 80% in America? Uh-oh. Huh? Who's torpedoing marriages within 5 years? Ooh. Right? Uh-oh. Huh? Who's telling you no struggle love? Let me read that definition for mercenary again. Primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. Uh-oh. A professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army. I'm going to tie that to this whole conversation about black women in interracial relationships, primarily to white men, and try to throw white men in black men's faces every 5 seconds. We're going to get to that in a minute. We're going to get to that in a minute. Uh-oh. Right? And Better Use says, I could take care of that tech for you for a price. Rubs hands like Birdman. Right? Playboy, P-L-E-I-B-O-I, Playboy. Not P-L-A-Y-B-O-Y, Playboy. Right? So, Armiose Frimpong, the funky academic, brings up Ebony K. Williams and not being surprised that she grew up without a father. Well, will you look at that? Right? Well, will you look at that? Of course not. Huh? So, what we're witnessing are women that were raised to be mercenaries. This you can tie in also, and I'm just not thinking about it. You can tie this into the stream I did, and I've done it multiple times. I've done it two times or three times now. I'm gonna do it at least 2 or 3 times a year, which is go right back to the clip from Wisecrack where they cover Malcolm in the Middle and they spend a good chunk speaking about advertising to children, primarily the little girls, and selling them lifestyle. The television show and the commercial are both commercials, selling lifestyle, selling hyper-consumerism, selling middle class, selling upper middle class, and maybe even rich as middle class. And then you wonder why your little girls who are now women in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s are delusional as hell. Mercenaries, right? When we hear Ebony K. Williams speak about these relationships, what does she say? How does she refer to everyday working black men? Mediocre. What does she say to Torre? I want a man that's the man in the room, right? Huh. Now you understand why Bowser is obsessed with class. Uh-oh. Why Ebony K. Williams told you or told Lauren, you know, she closed on a $1.7 million property and et cetera, and she had the Birkin bag sitting on the desk, right? Huh. Want to know why they sound the way they do? I argue that we have raised a couple of generations of mercenaries. These women are no longer just practicing hypergamy, right? They're no longer just being hypergamous. No, 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 no. This is why women like Chrissy mock us and mock black men and mock black men's income and laughs at average. This is why you had so many women, black women across different ages, calling into Kevin Samuel's show and saying, what? Who wants to be with average anyway? Mercenaries. Mercenaries. This is why Mr. Z, yours truly, says these women see you as nothing but walking wallets, walking ATM machines. You're not a human being, you're a human doing. Right? Mercenaries. Torpedoing relationships, marriages, right? That Latina that was just on that I reviewed, Real Talk with Yanni reviewed, Angry Man reviewed. What did she say? He has his own property, I have my own. I have my own home, he has his own home. Right? It's not bad sex, it's not this, I love the chemistry, etc., etc. But he's not spending enough. He's broke. Mercenary. Thank you, Trill. You need to be an ATM, a guard dog, and a dildo. They're looking for you to, well, they have mercenary tendencies, and you need to be, as Trill said, an ATM, a guard dog, and a dildo. Right? And I'll read this now. Detroit says they're more like Terminators. I could maybe do a whole different video on that. That's a whole other stream, right? Mercenaries. These mercenaries. No wonder you have so many black women, particularly, as BGS would say, 92 climbers, aspirational black women. That's why they refer to black men and men in general, but definitely specifically black men the way they do. That's why they talk about the way they do. That's why the Amala, the light skin mixed whatever, Amala, the conservative, that's why when she wants to justify whatever she's on with, whoever she's on with, there's a pun in there. What does she do? Play just clip after clip after clip of black women complaining about black men and essentially saying black men are inept. Mercenary. Let's read that second definition of mercenary again from Miss Amala. A professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army. Hired to serve in a foreign army. Hired to serve in a foreign army. Huh. Chrissy always talking about interracial relationships and talking down on black men. The Amala lady, All those black women on those videos talking down about black men, comparing black men to white men and deeming them lacking, comparing black men to non-black men and deeming them lacking. Huh. Right? Huh. Mercenary. And Trail says, Blackwater Keisha, hysterical. Right? So let's play this second clip and let Mr. Z be on his way. Here we go. Once again, Spitshine budget, Velcro budget, shoestring budget, and here we go.
To be mercenaries. And what's they want your kids to be? Either degenerate mercenaries who just use relationships for what they can, for their particular satisfaction, and then cast them off, because that's what they saw modeled in their parents. Or you want your kids to like not actually engage in institutional relationships because they just think that everybody else is just using those relationships, those institutions for their narrow satisfaction, and then will cast them off. Then you need to model at home a world that stays together for duty. Like love is duty. Like the idea that we have a notion that you stay together for money, you stay together for lifestyle, you stay together for sex, but you don't stay together for like the stability of the kids is ridiculous. That's a perfectly appropriate reason to stay together for the stability of the kids. Maybe you break it out. You break it off once the kids go to college or whatever, once they're fully formed or more stably formed. But for the most part, if you don't want to raise kids who then, and this gets a little bit racialized because I see a lot of married white women telling black women to like drop their husbands, and I just think that that's not good. That's not good. And this notion that kids respect duty after seeing parents who casually divorce because of like feelings, because they couldn't work it out, is ridiculous. You'll have a kid who will understand that reason doesn't work with the world. I didn't.
A whole lot of married white women, Rebecca Traister, telling black women to leave their men. Huh? Now, Bowser isn't married to her dude. But look how she was speaking about Obsidian and his lady. Huh? Look how Real Talk with Yanni was speaking. Real Talk with Yanni, from what we know, not in a relationship. Look how she was speaking about the Latina and whatever situation she has with whatever man it is that she was speaking about. Huh? A whole lot of women, in this case, as the funky academic said, white women, married white women, telling black women to leave their men. I already said this is definitely racialized, but it's also a class thing. It's and an ideology thing. And that right, Dr. Prokop. Married black woman, look like solidly middle class or upper middle class, PhD doctor married to another doctor, and talking about black women being pick-me's. Huh? Talking about tactical patriarchy. These women want these women to be mercenaries. When it comes to black men, black women, you're supposed to be mercenaries. If he ain't rich or he's not white, why are you over there? And definitely, if he's not rich and he's not white, why would you ever wait a minute? That looks like you respect him. You respect a black man and he's not rich and he's not white. Blink twice. Are you okay? Is he beating on you? Ain't that right, Dr. Prakope? Ain't that right, Bowser, Chrissy, Yanni, Paris, Shira 7, Real Talk with Yanni? Oh, God. The list is too damn long. Lexus Exodus, Mahogany Pink. Ain't that right? Melissa Ford, L'Oreal, Jesus Christ. Mercenaries. I think Funky Academic knocked that out the park with this one. And anybody want to play? Was that a Latina? The video that, especially we were playing a little bit last year, but we definitely were playing it back in 2022. I want to say it was a Latina that said, "I'm leaving. I'm not staying for no kids. I'm not staying for this. If I want to go, I'm leaving. I'm gone." And it sounded like she was from that Northeast region. Really sounded like she was straight New York, right? Straight from New York. I ain't even gonna say Northeast region. She sounded like she was straight New York gutter Latina, right? Huh. Mercenaries, right? And I would argue that is what we are producing in America. That is definitely what the black community is producing in black women. Mercenaries. As white women get married to a lame ass white husband, stay with him, they're going to cheat on him. Stay with him for years and decades. They're affording to black women to be mercenaries. So, where more white women get married than black women, and their marriages last longer by a few years when they do get married. If they do file for divorce, it's a little bit later. It's 8 years on average compared to black people's divorce or black women's divorce at 5 years on average. But black women don't get married as often as white women do. And there you go. Right? Producing mercenaries. That's all. And let's read the definition of mercenary again. Primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. The man on the street commentary, the man on the street interviews where these black dudes and these Latino dudes going around to bars and clubs asking mainly urbanized, that's black and mainly Latino or Latina, better yet, women, would you rather take the 9 to 5 dude or the dope boy or the scammer that's on perks and whatever? And 4 out of 5 of those women are saying, "I'll take the scammer that's on whatever drugs." Uh-oh. Mercenaries. The video of the young lady, it looked like she was on a radio. Was that cruise season also? I want to say that might have been cruise season. The brother interviewing the 2 young black women and asked them about 9 to 5 dudes, and the black woman just straight, the one black woman pretty much said straight up, I'd rather have the D boy. I'd rather have the dude that's moving and shaking, because when I want 50 racks, I need him to have 50 racks. I don't need him to be waiting for a paycheck. First of all, what are you 50, who's just throwing around this type of money? Mercenaries. Y'all keep acting like these women aren't real, right? Dear foreign man in a foreign land, right? FD signifier T1J consciously, huh? Professor Odie, y'all keep acting like these women aren't real. Y'all unshackled women, and they starting to talk, and they talking real reckless, and they sound like the mercenaries they are, right? They sound like the mercenaries they are. They sound like the mercenaries their mothers raised them to be. Ebony K. Williams told you if she was to come home with the truck driver, her mom would slap her. That's what she said. Once again, the mercenaries that their mothers raised them to be. Huh? Let's read that definition again. Primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. What's like the number one or number two reason for divorce in America? Money. Who's filing for 70 or 80, 70, 80% of divorces in America, and 90% of their college educated? Women. Mercenaries. Now when Mr. Z says, look, we not, dear black women, black men are not looking to end up with Milton Friedman or Frederick Hayek or Adam Smith. Yeah, we're not looking to be with the mercenary white man, only XX chromosome chocolate dipped. In other words, black men, straight black men, are not looking to be with a black woman who fashions herself after a white, wait for it, mercenary. Right? So we're going to give this definition of mercenary one. Well, actually, we're going to play these two clips one more again, and then Mr. Z will finally be on his way to Popeyes. Okay, here we go.
Like raise the everyday habits that are required for kids. Like when you're splitting 3 days one place and 3 days the other, you just have to understand that your kid's not going to have a sense of duty, because duty would tell your kids to stay together for the kids. That parents would stay together for the kids, but you're like you're modeling the opposite of duty. And so you're going to either raise kids who are trigger shy because they understand that the world is full of mercenaries, or you're going to raise a whole mercenary. Now, I know, and I think this is kind of gendered. I'll be honest, I think single parents raise mercenaries, especially single mothers raise whole mercenaries. And you don't have to, it's not a big surprise that Ebony K. Williams didn't grow up with a daddy. Yeah, so if you model not having a sense of duty and not having a sense of purpose outside of your own immediate wants, your kid's going to be a whole mercenary, and they're going to have a hard time sustaining relationships. They're also not going to drive you to your doctor's appointments as you get older and all of these other things, because you model to them that life is about yourself. And yourself is a narrow single self, not the self that includes the family, because you weren't willing to keep the family together for them, especially for like irreconcilable differences. For faults, I can say like if there's like real abuse, I could say that like maybe it's okay to separate. But for like, no fault, irreconcilable differences, you're just modeling to the kids that reason can't solve the problems, and duty doesn't matter, and stability doesn't matter, so they're gonna just send you off. and you can't be surprised. You did it. You modeled that. That's what adulthood is. It's casting off your family relationships, and they're not gonna be there for you. And you can't be surprised because you weren't there for them. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. So yes, stay together for the kids. Don't listen to people who say don't stay together for the kids. If you want your kids to not either be trigger shy, which means they don't want to participate in institutions full of mercenaries, or you don't want your kids to be whole mercenaries who just use people because they saw their parent use their other parent until it got inconvenient. Right?
Before we go to the other clip, the trigger shy. BGS said maybe tomorrow he will cover an article or whatnot that came out about black women, being purposely single, right? Like they're choosing single, right? They're doing that on purpose. And a lot of that is temper tantrum. Let's be honest, temper tantrum, because they feel like, well, I ain't gonna go over there to them racist ass white dudes that's gonna use me as a human jack off machine, and these black men, I'm better than them. So I'll do the single thing. So yes, definitely a lot of that is temper tantrum, and some of that is trigger shy because their mothers raised them to be right? Or, because I still said that a bit wrong, their mothers may not have raised them to be mercenaries. Their mothers were the mercenaries. Ooh. Huh? Huh? Right? Uh-oh. Let's read this again. Let's read this again, because Detroit and this Terminator, more like the Terminator. Not mercenaries, more like the Terminator. And once again, thank you for the super chat, Detroit. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Huh. Maybe that might be a video on its way. The mercenary that raises the Terminator. Or should it be the Terminator that raises the mercenary? The mercenary that raises the Terminator. Botnet Keisha. I see Chell in the comments. Chell coming. Merc Keisha, hysterical. Right? And so when you see men this way, of course, when you see men as nothing but a walking wallet, over glorified guard dog, rose toy, a human rose toy, well, Detroit's and Skynet Keisha, hysterical. Right? I guess when they're throwing temper tantrums, that's really what they are, though. Right? Scorch earth, burn everything. And what did Skynet do at the end? Launch all the nukes. Joe said, the Matrix Archie. That's funny. And that, mercenaries. We're raising mercenaries. When I say we, obviously America, but as black men, particularly black America, when it comes to black men, we're raising black girls to be black women that have a mercenary mindset. Right? And Detro, I see you finally you told who was it that is actually supposed to be what? Detro? So I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. And Detro says T800 raising T1000, raising a T1000, hysterical. Right? And let's go to the second clip.
To be mercenaries. What's they want your kids to be? Either degenerate mercenaries who just use relationships for what they can, for their particular satisfaction, and then cast them off, because that's what they saw modeled in their parents. Or you want your kids to not actually engage in institutional relationships because they just think that everybody else is just using those relationships, those institutions for their narrow satisfaction, and then will cast them off. Then you need to model at home a world that stays together for duty. Love is duty. The idea that we have a notion that you stay together for money, you stay together for lifestyle, you stay together for sex, but you don't stay together for the stability of kids is ridiculous. That's a perfectly appropriate reason to stay together, for the stability of the kids. Maybe you break it out. You break it off once the kids go to college or whatever, once they're fully formed or more stably formed. But for the most part, if you don't want to raise kids who then, this gets a little bit racialized because I see a lot of married white women telling black women to drop their husbands, and I just think that that's not good. That's not good. And this notion that kids respect duty after seeing parents who casually divorce because of like feelings, because they couldn't work it out, is ridiculous. You'll have a kid who will understand that reason doesn't work with the world. I didn't.
You will have a kid that understand that reason doesn't work with the world because you torpedoed a marriage or a relationship because you are a mercenary and you are raising one, right? Let's give that definition for mercenary one more again. Primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. That's the adjective, right? And the noun is a professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army. Huh. Mr. Z, what's the definition of duty? Right? Oh, this is going to hurt. A moral or legal obligation, oh boy, look at that word. Somebody, oh, catch them because they're about to jump off a roof with this one. A responsibility. Oh, you know that hurt. Oh, that hurt. That hurt. Oh, it gets worse. That was the first definition. Let's read that first definition again. The second definition is going to hurt even more. A moral or legal obligation, a responsibility. Second definition, a task or action. The hurt, it burns. Duty. The definition of duty. Let's read that second one more again. A task or action that someone is required to perform. Oh man. Yeah, I saw his segment about that. And Vincent John Doom says Corey Holcomb's daughter. Yeah. Essentially trying to shout out to all my people that watched Top Shot. That's escort. You're trying to escort me? Not extort. Escort. It's like one of the funniest parts of the movie, right? You're gone too far, Biggs. You're gone too far. Right? So yeah, and that is what Corey Holcomb's daughter was trying to do. And if we are to believe Corey Holcomb about his baby mother, right, his daughter's mother, sounds pretty mercenary. So what would she raise? Oops. I'm gonna leave that alone. That's that man's family, right? Just saying. Right? So we're just raising mercenaries, women that are mercenaries, and then we look at the men after these mercenaries are done shredding these men, and we look at the men like it's their fault. Right? We look at the men like it's their fault. And that's what it is. Right? Huh. So this is why I assess these things the way I do. I do think that this is what this system produces in women, and then uses the women to goad the men into being some type of hyper providers or dying on the way to try, or die trying. Right? Get rich or die trying. Yeah, get rich or die trying. Huh? So Jason Black was right when he said, "Hey, try to achieve this standard of life, this $3.4 million you're supposed to have in your lifetime, or that you're supposed to generate in your lifetime, right? It's going to kill you as men. It's going to kill you. But it's okay because America raised a bunch of daughters to be mercenaries and to take the vagina off the table if you ain't trying to do this, right? If you're not this person, then they're just gonna take the vagina off the table. Mercenaries. right? So I want us to be careful as men interacting with these mercenaries. Now, when I said I was going to tie mercenary to these interracial relationships, by speaking about working for a foreign army. Well, when you listen to Chrissy talk, what do you hear? All those women that were messing around with Vincent LeBeau. What do you hear? What do you see? Right? The Kings of Queens sister that's trying to mock and make fun of Dr. Umar Johnson with her burly ass white husband. Huh? Mercenaries. That's who these people are. That's what they are. Right? And I think we should just start calling them for what they are. From Ebony K. Williams to Chrissy to Real Talk with Yanni, all these people need to be called for what they are. Right? So yeah, they're gonna have a problem with us. But they're mercenaries. They're just mad you ain't spending the money that you and as a matter of fact, that if you look at how Real Talk with Yanni was speaking about the Latina, right? And adding all this extra stuff and all bad karma and karmic energy and whatever you have to tell yourself, right? But that's a mercenary mindset, right? And whenever you hear these women get on, and they're gonna try to frame it like hypergamy, just standard hypergamy, right? Just women, black women, namely, that just they don't want to struggle. They don't want to, they're tired of looking for potential, and then those men either get on and leave them for a white woman, yawn, or just never rise to the occasion. That's how they're gonna frame it, right? But really is, I want to live the most extravagant life humanly possible, and you are on a timer. So whether we get married or not, you are on a timer. And that timer ends about 4 and some change, in about 4 and some change years, in 4 years and some change. And we'll be divorced within 5 years. Bunch of mercenaries. Now, who does this benefit? The same white women and white men that these people worship. The same white men that they wish you were, the same white women that they wish they were. Right? Huh. A bunch of mercenaries. That's who it benefits. The same white folks. And that's why, shout out to Army Ose Frimpong, that's why he said what he said. A bunch of married white women telling black women to drop their men. Rebecca Traister, right? Telling black women, telling just working class and working class, middle class, lower middle class, poor women to drop their men, or why would you even get married anyway? Dude ain't rich and he ain't white. Right? Lithium said might as well pay for the box. And that's why it's not legal now. Because I think if you truly understood what they were on, that's what most men would be on. And y'all give Mr. Z 1 second. Well, actually, maybe a minute or two. Talk amongst yourselves. Yep. So it's not a Popeyes night. No, it's not. Only mild chicken left. Get out of here. Why would I even go to Popeyes if I can't have spicy chicken? Who eats mild chicken at Popeyes? For all of you that eat mild chicken at Popeyes, no offense, kind of offense, right? What? Why would I even do that? Anyway, so back to the topic at hand. Yeah, mercenaries, right? So I'm glad that Army of Say Frimpong put this out. I don't think he thought that someone was gonna focus on the mercenary word, right? Um, and he's not the first. So Zoe Williams said similar years ago. I don't even know how long ago that was. When Zoe pretty much said the same thing. Shout out to Zoe Williams. Zoe Williams pretty much said the same thing. We are these women mercenaries, and I don't recall if he put it in a question form. I want to say yes, but yeah, right. I want to say he might have said it in a question form so that he wouldn't be offensive, but that's what it is, right? Now, how many women um realize that that is what the system kind of or this society raised them to be? Black women, huh? And then do what they need to do to change that. Train tracks, train tracks, train tracks. How many of them realize that that's what their mothers raised them to be, right? And make the moves and work hard to no longer be that, and they realize that that might be one of the causes why they're single, chronically single, right? Right. Once again, you couple hyperconsumerism, materialism, a neoliberal assessment of men and masculinity. Yeah, mercenary. And does that work for black people? Absolutely not. That don't even work for black women at the end. It doesn't even work for them in the long run, right? Doesn't even work for them in the long run. Y'all give Mr. Z 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right, all right. Yeah. Right. So give me 1 second, and there we go. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. What was I gonna say? Lost my train of thought. There you go. But so I don't think this is not gonna work in the long run. I think the overall what was that thought I had? I think in the long run, this is much of the reason why I think certain economists are starting to actually see how their worldview and this neoliberalism actually worked out. And so we're not necessarily just talking about the money, but how trickle down economics, neoliberalism, um, worked out on human beings because economics is a social science. And now receipt is in, and 40 some odd years of neoliberalism looks like took me and broke the knob in relationships all across the developed world, and it's not actually working. And if it's not working for everybody else, as we've heard before, when America has the cold, Black America has the flu. If it's not working for everyone else, then how is it working for Black people? Wait, it's not. Not even for the mercenaries. Not even for the Black women that are mercenaries. I would like to direct you to Ebony K. Williams. It doesn't even work for them, right? It doesn't even work for them. So, as I said, I think Army did a great job here. The white women that are married that are telling Black women to drop their men. So, I think we all see this as Black men. I think even some Black women see this, right? It doesn't actually work out for Black women because white women still obviously marry white men and then go sell out in the sunset with all that money, while Black women do their negative liberty thing and give Black men the middle finger, right? When you listen to Rebecca Traister, first of all, married white woman, and the way she was hop, jump, skipping around, tying herself into a pretzel to not address Sarah and what Sarah was saying about essentially these women in this hypergamy movement and speaking about hypergamy all over the place. And why is it that college educated women are more likely to be married than non college educated women? And you watch her not address that, because you raise these women with your brand of feminism to be mercenaries. And so, yeah, they're marrying the college educated dudes and the dudes with some money, but all the other dudes, which by the way are still doing better than these women, but not good enough. As I excuse me, as I said, being a mercenary even cost them in the end, right? You think about being trigger shy. Look at look how many of these women. I covered this last year when I was speaking about Real Talk with Yanni. That tell you they have been celibate for years. They haven't been in a relationship for years. They've been celibate for years. They haven't even been in a relationship for years. Well, right. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I seem a bit distracted because I am. Car is acting a little funny. Bring it to the shop tomorrow, right? Son telling me it's the throttle position sensor because, yeah, as I push on the gas, it's not really accelerating the way it needs to. So that's why I seemed a little distracted a little bit. Lucky for me, I have time in the morning. In the morning, not in the afternoon. So, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Um, yeah, so, excuse me. And this cough. I don't know what's going on with Z right now. I'm all over the place. Um, I don't know what we're supposed to do with a bunch, what hundreds, tens of millions of mercenaries, tens of millions of mercenaries, women, and if you just focus on the black community, millions of mercenaries. Because you can't be an overt male mercenary, black male mercenary in America, right? But for the ladies, oh boy, because it will just be, especially when it comes to intimate relationships, it will just be couched as you being self-interested in a way that we can readily understand as a woman. You're supposed to, look at men a certain way and vet them, and isn't that how they couch it? Vet all men. No, you just telling her to be a mercenary and make the acquisition of money the primary reason to be with said men or said man. Are we against resource acquisition here? Absolutely not. Are we against getting your money? Absolutely not. The way y'all talk about it, right? And it doesn't even work for you in the long run. So you drain all the resources, or you make your escape plan after being married for how many years, and then you just turn around and take that money and give it to the rich white man who devised the plan in the first place. Well, will you look at that? Make money off of you coming and going, but right? Huh. And Detroit says, and thank you for the second super chat, they may be comparison to Freddy Cougar, Chucky, and the Terminator all together. You got to explain that, right? Definitely understand the Terminator reference. And Damie King says, and thank you for the super chat, Brazil is pushing big booty trans bodybuilders. Oh boy. Okay. Well, didn't Brazil surpass South Korea for most plastic surgery anyway? Or was it the other way around? Right? My bad. But yeah, didn't Brazil surpass? Am I saying that correct? Was it South Korea that surpassed Brazil because of the rhinoplasty, or was it Brazil that surpassed South Korea? Right. Now, I'm not saying it's because of how do they phrase it? Gender affirming surgery, right? I'm not saying that's the reason why Brazil surpassed South Korea. I'm just saying I think Brazil surpassed South Korea for the most plastic surgery a couple of years ago, right? A few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think I have that right. Right. I think I have that right. Yeah. Right. Huh. So I think that mercenary comment was spot on, right? Let's. Oh no, I don't think I have the time. It's gonna take that'll take too long. But yeah, because I want to play that clip for you guys one more again. Both clips for y'all one more again, right? Let me see some of what y'all was saying. Now I would have been getting that three-piece Vincent, but yeah, right? Exactly, lithium. What's the incentive, right? And As a matter of fact, thank you for mentioning Yeti. Exactly, Lithium. And what would she say? I'm a man eater, right? You called yourself a man eater. There's a pun in there, but I'm not even. It's too easy, right? It's too easy. What's the incentive? Oh, wait for it, Z. How did you not say this? I want to be a kept woman of leisure. Mercenary. Chrissy mocking these women that do 50-50 relationships. Mercenary. Ebony K. Williams calling these men mediocre. Mercenary. Right? Bowser speaking about class all the time. Mercenary. Cynthia G telling y'all, I don't care who you end up with, just don't end up with black men. Mercenary. Oh, and she got daddy issues with me. She was raised by a single mom. Uh-oh. Mercenary. Huh? Now, these women are always going to frame it differently. How many of them have the ovaries to call themselves mercenaries? Like none. Right? Let's give that definition again. Primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. Right. As I mentioned before, all those women on those man on the street interviews, man on the street conversations, telling you, yeah, they'll take the dope boy, yeah, they'll take the scammer, yeah, they'll take that person over the 9 to 5 person. That's a good guy. Uh-oh. Huh? How many of these women are perfectly okay with being with the dope boy? And I'm not talking about struggling. I'm talking about like nurses, damn police officers. Uh-oh. Correctional officers that are getting pregnant from the inmates. Right? Oh, Dr. Ron O'Neill, I didn't even realize you were here until Passport OG said something. And Dr. Ron O'Neill says, Meg the Stallion, I'm a savage. Hey, exactly. Right? What's going on, Dr. Ron O'Neill, and what's going on, Passport OG? Right. Great work you're doing over there, by the way. Right. Thank you. Amoral capitalism. And amoral capitalism produces what in people, in individuals? Uh-oh. Right? Uh-oh. Huh? And the marriage rate is what now again? All-time low. What about that childbirth rate? Oops. Huh? How many of these young people are saying they're not trying to couple up? That's the women and the men. Huh? It ain't looking good. It's not looking good. Right? The Chicago boys got exactly what they wanted. This is what y'all wanted. Y'all got it. Right? This is what y'all wanted. Y'all got it. Huh? You trying to tell me Bernie Madoff's wife didn't know what he was about? Huh? Who actually believes that lie? What's the other Elizabeth Holmes with the Theranos thing? Come on, man. Mercenaries. And y'all give Mr. Z 1 second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. And we're back. Right? Passport OG said you got to buy this pure love. Yeah. And so look, I think what Army presented here was dope. Um, he's not the first to say this is like mercenary behavior. Like I said, Zoe said this years ago, years and years and years ago. But I think Army really emphasized what this looks like in the long run, and I actually appreciate that he mentions, like, because you raise your children to be mercenaries, they're not necessarily going to have the best relationship with you when they become adults. They're really not going to be trying to bring you to those doctor appointments because they're going to be out for self because you raised them to be out for self, right? And the sense of duty would have been they would have never, actually, I was going to say would have been gone. No, they never developed it because you never gave them a sense of duty because, well, what's your relationship with your ex-husband or boyfriend or baby daddy? Oops. Right? I like this. And Pastor OG says, if you want to participate in quote unquote love capitalism, you better make sure your product is top notch and in demand. Isn't that what we see? And make it worse. Oh, Mrs. Z, how did you not bring this up earlier? And then those dating apps make it even worse. And the people that stop doing the dating apps, both the women and the men, what do they say? I'm tired of selling myself. Oh, it's like a big store. Oh, right? Uh-oh. Y'all were okay with everything being a marketplace. Well, this is the inner leftist and Mr. Z talking right now. And y'all give Mr. Z 1 second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. I'm going to play this for you guys one more again. Let's play these clips one more time for good measure. Right? At least one more time for good measure. Y'all know Mr. Z. And once again, shout out to Armio Sim Frimpong, the funky academic, for this. Right? I think he did a great job. And clip number one, y'all remember shoestring budget, Velcro budget, spit shot budget? Right, here we go.
Like raise the everyday habits that are required for kids. Like when you're splitting 3 days one place and 3 days the other, you just have to understand that your kid's not gonna have a sense of duty because duty would tell your kids to stay together for the kids. That parents would stay together for the kids, but you're like you're modeling the opposite of duty. And so you're going to either raise kids who are trigger shy because they understand that the world is full of mercenaries, or you're going to raise a whole mercenary. Now, I know, and I think this is kind of gendered. I'll be honest, I've seen, I think single parents raise mercenaries, especially single mothers raise whole mercenaries. And you don't have to, it's not a big surprise that MK Williams didn't grow up with a daddy. Yeah, so if you don't, if you model not having a sense of duty and not having a sense of purpose outside of your own immediate wants, your kid's going to be a whole mercenary. And they're going to have a hard time sustaining relationships. They're also not going to drive you to your doctor's appointments as you get older and all of these other things, because you model to them that life is about yourself. And yourself is a narrow single self, not the self that includes the family, because you weren't willing to keep the family together.
You don't have a community mindset.
Like irreconcilable differences. For faults, I can say, like, if there's like real abuse, I could say that, like, maybe it's okay to separate. But for like, no fault, irreconcilable differences, you're just modeling to the kids that reason can't solve the problems, and duty doesn't matter, and stability doesn't matter, so they're gonna just send you off. and you can't be surprised you did it. You modeled that that's what adulthood is. It's casting off your family relationships, and they're not gonna be there for you. And you can't be surprised because you weren't there for them. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. You decided that they didn't need the other parent. So yes, stay together for the kids. Don't listen to people who say don't stay together for the kids. If you want your kids to not either be trigger shy, which means they don't want to participate in institutions full of mercenaries, or you don't want your kids to be whole mercenaries who just use people because they saw their parent use their other parent until it got inconvenient. Right?
Huh. First, let me address this. And Jake says, we need a Dr. Neil and Mr. Z episode. Look, I am not on Dr. Neil's level. There's a reason why that's a PhD over there. Right? Right. Premier says, I agree. And Passport OG says, duty, question mark, wives, mothers have duty besides chasing maximum personal happiness. I know, right? Like, the funky academic is messing up all over the place. He's trying to give them obligation and give them and tell them what duty is and responsibility and accountability, because you're gonna have to be accountable, right? Duty, right? No, right? Funky academic, you're messing up all over the place, Army. Right? You telling these women not to be like insanely self-interested, selfish, self-centered, right? No, we can't have that. We cannot have that. Nope. Right? The world must revolve around them. Right? That's way too much, Army. You asking for way too much. And so these people are mercenaries. And as he referenced Ebony K. Williams, like that was the perfect person to reference. Especially with her recent, pretty much year-long in popular Black consciousness, situation she finds herself in. I think Ebony K. Williams was the perfect person for him to mention. All right. And what was the name of her book? Bet on Black or something along those lines? Is that her book or something along those lines? Right? You talk about this community talk, but you're a whole mercenary when it comes to an individual Black man after it didn't work with the white man. Let's say that again, Z. You're talking all this community talk. Apparently, when you were on Real Housewives of, what was it, New York or something like that, right? You weren't playing no games. Sounds nice. We let you talk about being in a relationship with a Black man, whole mercenary. right? Which would explain why she spoke when she was on Listen to Black Women, right? And she was speaking about money and the relationships, and she said, "I know what it takes to have this type of situation. I'm okay. Go work. Somebody got to go make the money. Go work. Mwah. Love you. See you when you get back." Mercenary, right? So when Jason Black, right, has his stream and he said it's going to cost about $3.4 million to get you to the end of your life, or something along those lines, and he was saying to the women, ladies, it's going to kill men. Jason, they don't care nothing about that. They're mercenaries. You already got them saying on social media, I miss the days when men would just work, die, and leave you their life insurance money. Mercenaries. Right? They don't care nothing about that. Oh, it's going to kill them. And, right? And clip number 2.
To be mercenaries. What's the wrong? You kids to be either degenerate mercenaries who just use relationships for what they can, for their particular satisfaction, and then cast them off because that's what they saw modeled in their parents. Or you want your kids to like not actually engage in institutional relationships because they just think that everybody else is just using those relationships, those institutions for their narrow satisfaction, and then will cast them off. Then you need to model at home a world that stays together for duty. Like love is duty. Like the idea that we have a notion that you stay together for money, you stay together for lifestyle, you stay together for sex, but you don't stay together for like the stability of the kids is ridiculous. That's a perfectly appropriate reason to stay together for the stability of the kids. Maybe you break it out. You break it off once the kids go to college or whatever, once they're fully formed or more stably formed. But for the most part, if you don't want to raise kids who then, I mean, yeah, and this gets a little bit racialized because I see a lot of married white women telling black women to like drop their husbands, and I just think that that's not good. That's not good. And this notion that kids respect duty after seeing parents who casually divorce because of like feelings, because they couldn't work it out, is ridiculous. You'll have a kid who will understand that reason doesn't work with the world. I didn't.
Yep. Yep. Huh. So, as he said, you'll stay for the lifestyle, the good sex, the whatever, but not for the kids, right? But not for the kids. And I wanted to address this comment real quick. And Lithium says, I'm trigger shy because my parents and the manosphere. I hope I don't, me personally, Lithium, I hope I don't cause you to be trigger shy, right? Be careful, right? But the trigger shy, look, the heartbreak is coming, right? That's it. That's just what it is. If you're out in the dating scene, think about what you're attempting to do. You are, depending on what your goal is, honestly, but if your goal is to find a person to marry and to raise a family with, you're looking for a whole other human being adult with their own opinions, life experiences, ideas, right? A whole other human being that wants to join in a union with you and form a family. Hopefully, believing that death do us part until death do us part, right? That's a lot, especially in this current environment. So there's no need to necessarily be trigger shy, especially when you just prepare thyself, right? There's no need to be trigger shy. It's gonna happen, right? Thank you. And Passport OG says you excuse me. You need leverage. If she leaves, it has to cost, just like it costs when a man leaves, right? And I think that's why that's much. If women file for 70 to 80% of the divorces, and yet we see that college educated folks are more likely to get married and more likely to stay married, it's the man's leverage, right? It's the man's leverage. It's his position in this society, and it's her thinking. Let's be honest. If I get out of this chair, am I going to find another chair this sturdy or even more sturdy, or am I just going to jump out of this chair onto the floor? Right? Huh? Right? And definitely don't be trigger shy and then be the male version of a real talk with Yanni. What's the incentive? Right? So yeah, just don't do that. Right? But once again, I think Army did a fantastic job here. Um, and he does it, working on his PhD, if I'm not mistaken, in philosophy. So, like I said, I would love to see a conversation with Dr. Green Gorilla and Armiose Frimpong on just what the position that black men find themselves in this society, from intimate relationships with black women, which pretty much the primary part of the conversation, to where we are politically, more men, particularly black men, possibly peeling away towards the right side of the political spectrum, right? Huh? Yeah, I think Army did a great job here, and these people are mercenaries. So we're gonna end out with this once again. Definition of mercenary: primarily concerned with making money at the expense of ethics. A professional soldier hired to serve in a foreign army. Now, and I just recently had this thought. If you couple that with the miseducation of a Negro, let me read that second part of that again. Hired to serve in a foreign army. Huh. Hired to serve in a foreign army. The miseducation of a Negro. And then you see how black women, particularly on the internet, particularly on social media, speak about black men. Ooh, mercenary, right? Huh. Vincent John Vincent John Doom says, "I broke up with my girl and I was heartbroken. You're supposed to be. That just means you're human, right? That just means you're human." Huh. And then you move on, and then you date around, and you meet somebody else that you really like and that you're cool with, and then you develop another relationship. And you learn things from the past, right? The good things that you learn, you keep those. The things that you learned about yourself, your limits, what triggers you, what might may trigger the other person legitimately, you keep those. You keep those lessons. But the heartbreak, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? All that means is that you're human, right? Now, if y'all were together for a little while and you weren't heartbroken, well, whoa, whoa, right? And there you go. Texting this girl from my class, she got a fatty, and there you go, right? So, on that note, everyone, love, peace, and chicken grease. We will pause right here, right? Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, right? Today's Tuesday, right? So, Art should be streaming in a little bit if he's not streaming now, right? Oh, Ed is streaming. Oh, or at least he was streaming. Looks like I can't tell, right? And mercenary. Are we raising mercenaries? I don't think I have to answer that. I think that the answer answers itself. The question and to ask the question is to answer it, right? Have we raised a couple of generations of women that are mercenaries, particularly concerning men and intimate relationships, particularly in the Black community? Oh, and Chaos said he has a live stream going off now too. Okay, okay. And Vince, I will. And he says check your email. Okay. So on that note, y'all, like I said, love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll pause right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, right? And stay away from the mercenaries. That's gonna be a little difficult because they're producing them like on a conveyor belt, right? Dre, I'm closing out. Right. And they go the link for Chaos, Chaos's stream. And on that note, y'all have a great, great, great rest of your night. Mr. Z out.